All right, I'm asked to graph this function, h of x equals x plus 1, x minus 5, and x plus 5. I know that this thing's going to be cubic. Cubic kind of looks like that sometimes. I know this thing's going to be cubic. I know this thing is going to cross at x equals negative 1, x equals positive 5, and x equals negative 5. So let's see. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it crosses here, here, and positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Another thing, too, that I know, let me just get rid of this thing right here. Another thing, too, that I know is that this thing goes all the way, it crosses down at negative 25. And I know that because if I were to multiply all of this out, first I know it's a cubic function because this is an x, x, and x. If I were to multiply this out, I would have to FOIL that. And then I would have to take that answer and FOIL that as well. But one of the things that I do know, and I think that maybe you might want to see this trick. In fact, actually, you know what? I'm going to say something, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll convince you of it. I'm going to say that after I multiply this out, after I FOIL this out, I'm going to have x cubed, blah, 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 minus 25. Let me prove it to you. And then we'll graph it. Yeah, sure. All right. So let's FOIL this. We have x squared minus 5x plus x minus 5. And that's just taking care of those first two terms. I just did first, outer, inner, last. I still have this thing over here, but before I multiply that in, why don't I simplify this a little bit? So this is x squared minus 6, or no, minus 4x minus 5. I've got x plus 5. Now what I need to do is I need to multiply everything in here by x, and everything in here by positive 5, and then add it all together. So I have x cubed minus 4x squared minus 5x. That's multiplying everything in the first one by x. Now I got to put a big plus sign. That's this guy right here. And then I got to put in a times 5. This is not a plus or minus. All right. So I've got to put in a times 5. So I have 5x squared minus 20x minus 25. All right. Combine like terms. This guy's alike with that guy. This guy's alike with that guy. I have x cubed plus x squared minus 25x minus 25. Now, the reason why I told you that I would have x cubed blah, 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 negative 25 on the end, the reason why I can tell you that negative 25 is because if I were to multiply all of these last terms together, there's no, I guess, how do I put this? There's no x to corrupt that. At the end, I'm looking for this pure number. So when I multiply this times this, 1 times the negative 5, the negative 5 out here is the only thing I get. And then these terms in the middle, they'll have x's in it because it has x's over here. Same goes with this one. And when I multiply this negative 5 times that 5, I'll get negative 25, which I know is the only pure number at the end that I'll get because everything else will have at least an x in it. Kind of similar, I know that my x cubed term is going to be 1x cubed because x times x times x is x cubed. Now the middle terms, I promise you, it's not that easy to get, and you have to probably go through this process to figure out what those middle terms are. But for the first and the last, which kind of are our only relevant ones to graph, those are actually pretty straightforward and easy to grab. All right, so let me just kind of convince you now that A, this was a cubic function, because remember I told you it's going to have an x cubed, blah, 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 minus 25. It's a cubic function. I know that it crosses at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back here. And I know that it goes down to 25. That's the y-intercept. So another 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So there's negative 5, negative 10, negative 15, and so on and so forth. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I apologize, my board isn't this big, so I can't graph this thing much nicer than this. So I'm thinking that it's probably going to look something like this. Now, to be honest with you, the last bit of information that I probably want to give you is that I know that when I multiply out x times x times x, that's going to give me positive 1x cubed. So I know that the cubic function, when it's positive coefficient in front, is going to look like this. When there's a negative coefficient, it's going to kind of look like a pretty fun roller coaster going down. So that's why I graphed it like this as opposed to the other way. Besides, if you had to hit these points as if you had to hit these points right here, 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 and here, and also hit this y-intercept, if you went down, you couldn't figure out how to do it. Right? Like I can't go through here, I can't go through here and here and here. That's impossible. So actually the graph, you kind of can tell it has to kind of look like this. Alright, cool.